Welcome, everyone, to the Market Leader Podcast. We are here with Jordan Harrison, who is, I'll go ahead and have you introduce yourself, but I've known him for a while. He is another, used to be agency owner. Now he is really kind of focused in on content. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Go ahead and tell us who you are, Jordan, kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, man. So Jordan Harrison, obviously, Jacob and I have been in the marketing space for a while, known each other for, coaching programs or whatever. And so I've been in I won't say I've been in the digital marketing space for a while. I've been more in the content creation for since 2006, just not in the way that most people think. I started shooting videos in 2006 when I was a teacher. And this is when podcast and they called them vodcasts back then. In 2006.
I remember.
So they call them vodcasts, and I used to use them to teach students. I was a band director, and so I would create videos for them because I had while I taught band, I also taught guitar classes. And long story short, had to create videos for them because 30 people playing guitar at the same time does not work. And it started from there. I also learned how to build websites at the same time inside of where I was teaching at. So I kept doing that over the years. And then when social media started coming about, I used social media to build band programs with video content. So, and the only thing I did, because I was always in rural areas in Alabama, because, it's not a lot of major cities here. You got about 3 or 4 major cities and that's it. But anyways, I was in rural areas and it's hard to get attention to the band programs. So what I did was hop on social media, created a brand. I would go on there and shoot live videos. I'd shoot videos of the kids as we were out, doing practices or whatever. And I just made people aware of what we were actually doing and what the kids did in band programs. And so we created video content. I've been doing it for, forever. We used video cameras then. Now, as it aged on, we would obviously use our cell phones. This is the most powerful tool you have right here to grow your business. And most people don't realize it. I kept doing that. And then when the pandemic hit, I think it changed a lot of people's perspective. It changed mine. I have 2 little boys. And during that time, we spent a lot of time with them. And I was like, holy crap, I'm missing a lot of things. And so I turned that ability to create brands on social media into a business. So I jumped in the digital marketing space, did that for a while, but I realized kind of where my passion was in actually the video content side, helping people get on video, inspiring them to get on video, talk about their business and gain that confidence. So to me, it's like I switched from educating students to now educating business owners. So that I think the education side has not changed. So so I do that side of it with as far as video content is concerned. Really, I guess I continue to educate and just turn it into video content and helping others to do the same.
That's awesome. So when you're working with people now, are you mostly doing it for them or are you educating them through some sort of program or something like that? Yeah,
right now, I'm developing a couple things to help, but based on market feedback, right? Should be doing that. But right now it's mostly educating and helping them and them doing it on their own because you know your business better than anybody else. You're going to be able to market your business better than anybody else. The difference is going to be I'm going to help ask you questions and give you the guidance to do it the way that's going to attract the right people that you want. I think that's where people miss the boat is some people will misconstrue marketing as oh, it's just getting leads. Well, yeah, it is, but it's getting the right kind of people attracted to your business. So I help make sure that they are focusing in on the kind of people they like to work with and making sure they're putting out messaging in the right way. So I will give them video scripts. I'll help educate them on the right way to use the video camera, or right way. I really focus on just the phone because, I work mostly with contractors. So those guys are not going to go get a nice Sony camera, set it up, and do all the great stuff. They just need their phone. And honestly, you can shoot 4K, you can shoot 30 FPS, which is all you need. And that's it. So I help educate, make sure that they're on the right path. They're actually shooting the video. That's the hardest part. And encourage and give them the right tools to make it look good.
That's awesome. So I completely agree with that. As an actual marketing agency, we have tested and tried a lot of different type of creatives. And honestly, it always comes down to the phone footage, right? The more authentic stuff always works the best. It looks like it belongs on the platform and it always kind of works the best. So I've even had people come to us and they have nice cameras, things like that. And we're like, hey, leave the camera at home, use that for your photography, right? And like your before and afters, whatever, if you want to have nice looking stuff, but try to make most of your stuff on your phone because it works better.
Yeah, I think there is a place for the professional side, like a really good professional done video. I think there will always be a place for that type of stuff. I think it's great on your website. If you're going to run commercials on a local TV, I think that stuff's fantastic. But I mean, in the age of social media where you're going to get most of your leads that in Google, phone's going to win every time.
Yeah. So you started out being an educator in the band space. What kind of got you, and then it sounds like you kind of moved over into business. What kind of got you to where you are now working with contractors?
Oh, my dad, my brother-in-law, my cousins, my best friend, all are either good in the contracting space, carpenters, they can build stuff, they can do all these things. And these are all the things that I struggle with. And so I made a connection there early on the contracting side to where it's like, if I'm going to help an industry, what industry would I help? I'm going to help the one that's continuously growing anyway. Like the contracting side of things, it doesn't matter if it's HVAC, doesn't matter if it's roofing, construction, it's going to continue to grow. It's not going anywhere, despite what people say about economy. And there are a lack of jobs that they're in the space. So, I kind of found that is the niche of the kind of people I want to work with. They're about the same age as where I was. I feel like I was a little bit older hopping in this space than some people because you do get a lot of those younger. When I say younger, I say like 19-year-olds sold the dream of digital marketing. I wanted to just help business owners like that. That was kind of where I was. The marketing side was where I want to jump into. So it moved into picking the niche of HVAC, roofing, those guys. I feel like I related most to them. And then fill in the gaps of where they needed help. And it was content, like video content's where they needed help because I saw where it was going. There's a reason why Apple keeps updating the camera on the phones is because they know the value of short form video. They know the value of content and relatable content and user generated content and people moving away from the commercial stuff. So it started with that side of things. And when I found out I got really good with video, or I don't say good, I'm just confident with video and then inspiring others to do the same. That's where the path kind of led to where I am now.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit. So you kind of focus in on HVAC. You most kind of related to those guys. What's the missed opportunity with these guys not getting on video? Because we work with majority contractors as well, and kind of what we see is that they just either don't think it's important, like they're just not aware of the importance of it. What are you kind of seeing is like the biggest reason why they're not kind of diving into it?
I think is alpha male as they are, they're probably some of the most self-conscious people to hop on camera.
Like so true.
I mean, it really is like they while they may seem to have an ego or I think it's not the ego. I think it's kind of split. It's just the fact of it's the confidence of getting on camera and not thinking. I think their thought process of what social media is a lot different than what it can be for them. I still think they think social media because you got to think of those business owners. What age are they in? How did they grow up with social media? A lot of those guys didn't have internet at some point. I didn't have internet at some point. I remember the days of dial-up kicking in and us finally having internet. So, and I think they're just still not comfortable with diving in on it and it actually working. And the second part too is it's just hard. It's a lot of work if you don't implement it inside your business processes.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of work. But is it more work than doing any of the other types of marketing, right?
Well, I don't disagree there. I think that here's where I think they get it backwards. If you can do it right organically through social media, when you start doing paid ads, it's going to be better. If you actually have content on your Facebook pages and then you start running Facebook ads, your ads are going to perform better because people are going to look at your stuff. And if they see nothing and they only see as an ad, my first thought is you're just selling me something. But if I actually look at your page and see really good content and I actually see you trying to help, that gives me a better perception of, oh, they've got their crap together. I don't know if I can say they've got their crap together and they're actually focused on helping their audience. So I think if they would focus more on the organic side of helping their customers, especially with content, I think their cost per lead will go down if they're doing Google local service ads, if they're doing just pay-per-click ads, whatever. Even SEO is going to be better if they will put the focus in on actually creating content. And the hard, like I said, it's just hard. But one of the things that I'm trying to do, we can dive into this later, is get it set up to where they just implement their business process. So they're just documenting their work and making it super simple. So if they can implement that side of it, like if they have a process in place to do XYZ, part of that process is you grab your phone and you record as you're doing it, as you're documenting it, which if you're a contractor, you should be documenting your work anyways with like Company Cam or Project Mapit. Those are two great softwares. So I think if they'll do those things, like there's nobody in my area in Birmingham, Alabama that does video content that's a contractor. Nobody. Imagine if you did, you would dominate the entire market of Birmingham.
Yeah. Now, why would you dominate?
Nobody else is doing it. That's your differentiating factor is nobody's getting on social media content and on video content and showing people how they're serving their customers. Nobody's building a brand that way when everybody is on. I mean, everybody's on social media. I don't care what you say. They're on there. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They're on TikTok. And they're searching there 2-3 hours a day. And they're on there 2-3 hours a day. And if you're not putting yourself in front of them, creating a relationship, and we'll say if you go on there, create a relationship and actually do the work and nobody else in your market is, that's your differentiating factor. And then you just dominate it because that's where people spend most of their time.
So how do they go? So let's say they understand that, okay, I understand it's a lot to get into. I want to do it. I want to make it happen. I guess a couple of parts to that question. The first thing I think we see is because they see no one else doing it, they don't think it's important, right? Because then once they see other people doing it, they're like, oh, I'm behind now. I better get on the wagon, right? So it's a little bit of that, like, what's it called? First mover thing, where because no one else is doing it, like they don't really want to be the first person, right? No one really wants to be like the first person. Do you think that that's kind of like one of the reasons why they're not really diving in right off the bat?
And it's funny, it's funny you say that. I've never actually thought of it that way. And I think people push and they probably hear Google is king. Google's there, and we're talking about contractors here. So like Google is king. People are going to be searching for your business there. So you have to have a really good website. And I'm like, yeah, but how many times have you hopped on Facebook and asked for a recommendation for somebody local? I need a painter. Hey, do you guys know anybody that does this? Hey, you guys remember that? Like, and you have nothing there. Like, why not? Like, that's where your referrals aren't coming from Google. Like, yes, they'll read a review and say, okay, they got some good reviews. But unless they know the person that's doing the review, that's your best way to get word of mouth. And I think that's, if they'll think of it as like, hey, this is the best referral system right here is on social media, because then people start tagging your business, tagging you personally. And then that way you can win that way. So even if you just think of it as, I think if they would think of, hey, I may not always generate new leads from this, but I could generate some really great referrals, better referrals than I'm going to get if I get them from Google. And if they, like I said, once again, if you have a good base of helpful content that's actually educational, if you can be entertaining, great. I suck at it. But
I think you do a good job.
Some days, some things pop off, some don't. Most of my relatable stuff pops off, but I think if they'll think of it as a way of generating some of the best referrals on the planet, they'll win. I've talked with roofing companies. I know one big roofing company that works with another a bigger marketing company, and they said most of their best leads come from social media content. I mean, it just does. It's just hard work.
I think what we do to explain it is like, what if all of the rapport building was already done before they even reach out? They already know your name. They already know, the things that make you special. They've already connected with you, and that all that's happened before they even reach out. That's what social can do. That also confuses me because these guys are like, word of mouth is the best. And then they don't understand that social is the best word of mouth. It is word of mouth. and it can be used like a bunch of different ways. Do you think a lot of these guys, because this is a thought I've been having, especially with contractors, they tend to think in the terms of like tools, right? I see a nail, I grab a hammer. I need leads, I do lead gen, right? And so social media marketing is not really a tool. It's more of like an art and a science, right? It's more like growing something rather than, grabbing a hammer and knocking a nail in. Does that make sense? Do you feel like there's a little bit of that thing where they're kind of looking at it as a tool and they don't really understand how it fits in their tool belt, so they don't really try to make it work? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think social media is going to be your best way to build a brand, and that's a long-term thought process. If you don't have that in mind, if you're only focused on getting leads and you think leads is what's going to win, I think that's the mindset that they lose from. And most of the time it is. It's just like, where's my next lead coming from? Where's my next job coming from? And if you don't think of, in business, doesn't matter what business it is, you have maybe 10% of the market or less, usually less, is ready to purchase and buy from you right now. 60% of that is not. And then, 30 after that is just, they're not going to buy from you ever. So you don't worry about that. But like, there's a 60% of the market that's going to be ready to buy in the next 3 to 6 months, 3 to 12 months. What are you doing to build a relationship in that time? So when they finally move into that 10% funnel, that 10% category, all right, I'm ready. I need that HVAC unit now. I need a new roof now. I need painting done. I need exterior done. I need new windows. What are you doing to guide them into that 10%? So when they finally are like, I'm ready to buy, they're buying from you. And that's only done through social media content. I will say this. It's not done through Google. It's not done through, your website. It's done through social media content, because that's where your relationship's going to be built. Like you said, that allows you to set expectations. That allows people to know exactly how you operate. And once they know all those things, you're like, hey, I know exactly what's going to happen if I reach out to you and I already like you. You will have I know there's another guy, Joe Hughes, who owns Contractor Dynamics. He calls it being 5 Mile famous. You become 5 Mile famous, and they feel like, oh, hey, I've watched your videos. They're really great. And it works. I will tell you one example of it working is I went down to RoofCon conference down in Orlando, and I've gone there the past couple of years, and I can't tell how many roofers and other business owners that came into me and said, hey, I love your videos. I had no clue who they are. Didn't even know we were friends on Facebook. We probably weren't. So it works. It's effective. So I think if they think of it as building a brand online long-term, and setting expectations and working on building a relationship with that 60% that'll be ready to buy in the next 3 to 6 months. And then when they hit that 10%, they're going to be ready to buy then. They're going to buy from their company.
I love it. So let's dive into a little bit of how, right? Because I think a lot of these guys have no idea even where to get started. Where should they start in order to start to build use social media for their business?
Yeah. First thing is take your phone, and it's always going to start here because this is going to be your best thing. Take your phone, and when you go on you can do a couple things. One, at the end of your day as a contractor, you can just do a recap of your day and how you helped your customers. Pull it up, and here's what I say to start. Record the video, don't post it, unless you're comfortable with posting it. And just recap your day. It's almost like a document, a journal of the day of, hey, so today I went out and helped. You don't have to name the customers. We helped these customers today fix these plumbing problems. It's a common plumbing problem, but most people don't know how to fix it. This is how we fixed it and why we fixed it. How do you serve your customers? To me, that's the first way you start, and you just start with your phone. The second part, if in terms of shooting the video, I think that's it. Start with the video, start with the phone, but then talk about how you help your customers. I think the next part is just when you go on job sites, get the confidence to ask the homeowner, hey, do you mind if I shoot some video? I won't show anything in your house, or I won't show you. I just want to show people how we help customers and what kind of problems we solve. Because you had this problem, somebody else was probably gonna have this problem. And then just going out and then describing to people what the issue is. And so, like, for instance, I had a guy come out and do HVAC, a tune-up at our house. He came out, he looked at my unit, he goes, there's nothing wrong with this unit. It's 5 years old, it's brand new, it's a nice one. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, great. So we were going to shoot video content while I was here. I was like, here, let me just shoot you some video. He goes, well, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm like, great. This is how you show somebody that this is what a unit should look like. And this is what you've done to maintain it. And you should be doing the same thing, even if you have a new unit. So you should be describing these things. So to start out, one, grab your phone, document your day, describe how you help customers. And then two, just show people while you're on site how you help customers. That's it. And it's a great way to document your work. And it's social proof. And it's showing your process, and it's showing how you help customers, it's showing your personality. It's all of those things. And if you're not comfortable with putting your face on there, I have one client that most of the time he just puts it here and he talks over it and just shows people what he's doing. If you can't do that, at least show people what you're doing.
That's a great first start, like a great first way to kind of get started. I love that. What are the roadblocks that they're going to run into as they get started with that?
They're going to run behind on their schedules, and they're going to put it off as a back burner, not be important. Their one job's they're going to show up to job. They're not going to have the right tools. It's going to be a bigger job than they thought. Like, it's going to lead to one problem to the next. If they have employees, something happened, employee's sick, you got to cover, you got to answer the phone. So all these little things in business that pop up for all of us, I think those are the things that will hold them back. And then when they stop posting consistently, they're like, well, or I didn't get a leads from this, or didn't seem like it's working. They just get discouraged, and or somebody says something negative on social media about what they're doing. Well, that's the wrong way to do it, or that's crap, or whatever it may be. I think that's your biggest roadblocks: the unexpected, not knowing what's going to happen when you do post, getting negative feedback, and then just something happening on the job site. You get behind, and that's not a priority anymore. Helping the customer, which should be a priority. I think those things would be the biggest roadblocks.
What should they do when that happens? Right. Because it feels, because I've been there as a guy who's owned and operated a contracting company, it feels like that happens pretty often, right? What should we do? Is it something we should still prioritize? Is it a time management thing? Because we also work with a lot of guys who don't have those issues.
Yeah.
And they are consistently doing it. What's the difference between the guys who are consistently doing it, even with those problems, and the guys who face that first kind of schedule running behind and then they stop? What's the difference between those two guys?
They see opportunity. So let's say you do get behind. That's an opportunity for you to show how you solve problems, even when you get behind. That's an opportunity for you to document yourself. Like, okay, this really screwed up on this job site, so I'm going to document and talk about even if you don't post it, let's just say you document it for your own purpose. Like, prime example, and this is relatable to what I do. When I'm recording video, like before I hired a part-time video editor, I recorded myself editing the videos and talking through my thought process, even the ones that sucked. Because now what's going to happen is I now have a documented library to show somebody, the next employee, hey, don't do this because this happened. Or I created an SOP to keep this problem from happening again. So the ones that are successful and consistent, they see it as an opportunity to document where they messed up, fix the problem, and then just show that they're transparent too. So let's say they do post it on social media. They're transparent about, hey, we screwed up on the job site. This is how we solved and fixed the problem. And I think that's the difference between the two is they're always going to see the guys that are going to be successful and consistent, see opportunity. The ones that don't, they're not going to see the opportunity.
Gotcha. I love that. So let's say they're doing that now. What should they kind of expect to see happen? So they're going to start recording themselves. They're going to start doing all this stuff. What should they be looking for to say this is working or this isn't working? How long should they go? What should they be kind of looking for? What's that feedback loop?
Yeah. So I always want to either stick with one thing or pick 2 or 3 things that you want to test out as far as if you're looking at content. So for instance, so what we do with clients when we first bring them on is we will, we get their story, we get everything we need, and we start posting out different types of content from videos and reels to them actually getting on video if they're comfortable. We'll post out graphic posts, ones that are done up nice, that look really good. We'll do content that looks very raw and organic. And we test those 3 types of things and see what works well in their market. And I think for them, if they will find 1 or 2 things that they can test and see. And the way we look at it is, 1, are people engaging? And if you're just starting out, you're looking for, yes, the vanity metrics. Are people watching the video? Are people commenting on the video? Are they hitting the like button? Are they hitting the share button? Are they hitting the heart button? Whatever. Those are always going to be the vanity metrics when you start out is the first things you look at. Yes, I know they're vanity because you're not going typically, not all the time, you're not going to start generating a ton of leads as soon as you put out the first things of content. So you're first looking to see what are people engaging with, what are they connecting with in month one. And then you can go back through and refine it and go, okay, primary example, I had a hardware 4 company that people like the graphic posts better. They like the nice looking graphic posts better. That got more engagement than just raw people putting in, hardwood floor. So now going in month 2, we're going to test and make sure that that's continuously the same thing. So I think if you're a contractor, best way to look at it is when you're starting out in the first 3 months, look at the vanity metrics. Regardless of what people say, look at the vanity metrics. What are people commenting on? What are they sharing? How are they engaging? That's what I would do there. And then after the first 3 months, you can start looking at lead gen, because I think it takes at least 3 months, at least it did for my business, of putting out consistent content for it to actually start people reaching out to me, and me not reaching out to them. So I don't do outreach with my company because they see videos and then people refer me, and they see my content. So I think that vanity metrics first, and then you can start looking at lead gen.
Awesome. Yeah, we see the same numbers. Like 4 months-ish is when you start to see the leads coming in, and they're going to be the best leads that you've seen. What do you do like when you're 2 months in, you haven't really seen much, right? Is that a point in which we should be looking at pivoting and going to trying out different types still? Or is it something where we just need to keep going until we hit that 3 or 4 month mark and then making kind of the decision? How do they know when to pull out or when to change?
I give it 3 months.
Okay.
I say give it 3 months. I had a strategy from the beginning, and my strategy was, and I think everybody should, if you're a contractor, I think everybody should follow this strategy, is one, you need to find the symptoms of the issues they're running into. And I say symptoms first because that's what's going to be relatable. If you always talk about problems, they're not going to know what problems are. Right? If I say, well, you're not generating leads because you're not doing this type of video for contractors, what do they give a shit? Sorry, what do they care? They don't care about what type of video I'm doing. But if I say, hey, do you feel like when you shoot a video, or do you feel like when you post this content that these things happen? And it starts to be relatable to them. So like if I'm a contractor, I want to say, hey, is your AC unit making this weird, funky noise? And you show people what the noise is, because now people are going to go, oh, mine was doing it the other day. Is your AC unit cycling on and off? Is it cutting on, cutting off? Did your power bill jump all of a sudden in the last month? These are all things people are relating to. So I always focus on the symptom first. What are they going through? And then they'll go, okay, that's relatable. That's relatable. You keep hitting the symptom. Then you go, these are the problems of what's causing the symptoms. Now all of a sudden they're like, I'm listening. And this is what's causing this. This is what's causing this. Then you give them the solution. And usually with the solution, your call to action to work with them. So I think if you stick with that formula of describing symptoms, here's how to solve them, once a week, twice a week, maybe give them a call to action to give you a call. I think doing that for 3 months consistently, and then you can look to pivot to other things. But that formula works for everybody.
Okay. So I have a quick question about that. So let's say you're covering the symptom. It's, something's wrong with the AC, whatever it may be. Are you then talking about the solution as in this is what they need to do to fix it? As in what you need to do is probably check out the Freon stuff, whatever the cylinder, something or other, I don't know. Or are they saying, if you have this problem, just call us? Does that make sense? Are they even talking about kind of what they would do? Is it where they're covering the symptom, then what they would do to fix it, and then say, if you want a professional to do it, call us? Or are they just saying, if you have this problem, call us? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. So this is part of the transparency side and the differentiating factors. So you say, all right, you're having this issue. Here's what it could be. It could be these problems. This is why it could be these problems. Here's what we would do if we came on site and you had that problem. This is how we go through and identify what that problem is. So now they've told them what their process is. They've explained why they look at trying to figure out what the problem is, whatever that symptom is. And then they can explain, hey, if it ends up being this is how we would recommend you solving it. If that's something you're comfortable with, or if that seems like this is you, then give us a call, right? So you're almost like giving them the whole pathway of, this is the symptom, this is the problem that's causing that symptom. Here's how we would solve it, and we would solve it this way because of XYZ, right? That's how we feel like it's the best solved. And more than likely, you're probably not going to be able to do this as a customer or homeowner. So give us a call. So now they trust you because they know exactly what you're going to do when you come on site. You've built the relationship, you set the expectations. So, and they trust you because they've seen your video. Now they're going to call you, and they're going to know exactly what you can do when you come out, because there's no fear of, oh my God, I'm going to have to replace my whole unit, or I'm going to have to do this, right? Because anytime you have an old AC unit and something goes wrong, the first thought is, oh, here we go, 5-10 grand. They're trying to upsell me into a unit I need to buy. Like the homeowner is fearful of somebody saying, I'm going to have to get a new roof, or I'm going to have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And it may not be the case. So it helps ease the fear. It helps give them the sticker shock if something needs to be replaced. And it sets expectations up front.
When should contractors start thinking about this? So your average guy you're working with, where are they kind of at with revenue? At what point should they start thinking about this? Is this something they should think about once they have hit a particular point in their business? Is this something they should think about doing right off the get-go, right? You just started the company yesterday. Should they start making content right away? You know what I mean? That's something we hear a lot from guys is, oh, I'm going to focus on that later once I have people and things like that. And that goes to a follow-up question I have about subject matter experts. So we'll hit this one first.
Day one.
So I just started my company yesterday, right? I'm doing roofing, solar, any sort of contracting, heck, any business really. Day one, they should start doing this type of content.
Absolutely. I did it day one for my business, and I was up front. So it was like, all right, hey, I've been doing content because I'm an expert. I hate using the word expert. I say I like Gary Vee calls it being an enthusiast. I've been creating video content since 2006. It doesn't matter how I did it. I've been doing it because to me, video content, there's an education, entertaining side. So I've been educating people through video content since 2006. I just started my business. Here's my experience and my expertise or whatever. But from day one, I created content for my own business, and I just documented my journey. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be super transparent. I'm going to screw up. I'm going to mess up because I'm a new business owner. Things aren't going to work, but here's the things I'm going to do to make sure that I'm taking care of customers, even though my business just started. So I think from day one, you should be doing the same thing and being super transparent about who you are, why you serve your customers the way you do. And then to answer your follow-up, if you're going to start a company from scratch, you got to have an expertise, right? If you don't know what you're doing, then I don't recommend starting your company. But let's say you've been in HVAC tech for a while, or you've been putting on and installing roofs for a long time, and you've also done sales for a long time, and you're ready to jump in the business side. Then you're transparent about the whole process from beginning to end. People love that factor. Matter of fact, I had one client sign on because he goes, you know what? I know you're early in your business and you're growing, but I also know you're going to work your tail off, and you've shown me that because you're consistent with your own content, which means you're going to help me be consistent with mine. And that transparency attracted that person to me. So I think that from day one, you should do it, and you should talk about your process from day one. And when you screw up, you should talk about that too and how you fix it. Those are big character things, big transparency, big in building relationships, and people love it.
Why? Why should they talk about that stuff? Why not just hide it like everyone else does and make it look like you've got everything perfect, right?
It's relatable. How many times have you watched videos of people screwing up or doing things wrong? And there's a character thing to it, right? If you have somebody that has the confidence to go, you know what, I screwed up, so sorry, let me fix it. You trust that person, and you gain a better respect for them because you do. I would much rather a business owner say, you know what, I completely screwed up. Here's how I'm going to fix it. So sorry. This is what we're going to do to make it right and make it better. I will gain respect for that because I understand that everybody's human, and that's what people relate to. Because in content, while you're educating, you have to be relatable, or people aren't going to watch your stuff. That's why viral videos go off, is because people are relatable. They get it. Same thing here. If you're not relatable, if you're not showing people that you're human and you do mess up, and you will mess up, they're going to be sketchy of you. If everything's a 5.0, everything's peachy, if you hide all your mistakes, they're going to be sketchy.
Gotcha. I do have one more question about the subject matter stuff. So, how important is it? Also, I guess, but first, what's the term? I'm trying to remember what it is. What's the term where there's a guy who owns the company who's never done the thing? It's like a paper pusher. I forgot what the term is. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to think.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically like they sold roofs but never put on a roof. I like.
Right.
There's a lot of guys that get into roofing sales, don't know a lot about roofs, but end up running a business. Yeah, and I see what you're saying. So, I think in that instance, there's a company I know, HVAC company, out of Indiana, Peterman Brothers. So their dad ran the company for a long time, and I had him on a podcast, and he was never, he runs the company now, but he was never an HVAC technician. So I think that it's more of, at that point, you have to look at the like Simon Sinek mentality as an owner and go, I'm not the best person to go in the field and fix XYZ, but I know how to lead people to do it and guide them in the right path and put the right leadership in place. So you have to go to what your strengths are in that. And then you use your people that are really good at doing the thing, whatever it may be, and the experts that want to be there and do that thing. And you get them on video and you get them talking about what they do. And I think that being transparent about that, once again, and like I said, Simon Sinek, if you don't follow him, he's an amazing communicator and leader and teaches leadership. I think you can do that. And I look at it like, primary example, I was an educator. I have a degree to be a principal. I could be a principal of a school. I've never taught math, never taught science, English, experienced those things, but never taught them. But yet I can lead everybody in that school into one direction. So I think you don't play on the I know everything. It's I have the right people in place that know everything.
Gotcha. So for those, you would empower the actual subject matter experts to do the content.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even if you don't have the knowledge, you would use someone on your team who has the knowledge to kind of do it.
Yeah. And I think if you are missing out on an opportunity to get your team on video content if you're not doing it. If you have a team, if you have more than one employee, if they're all willing, which to me, I would kind of establish it in my culture. This was me personally. I would establish it in my culture as, hey, if you're going to come work for us, we like to shoot content and show people our stuff. We want to make sure you're okay with that because we're going to want you to do that. Not to say that would be the game changer of not hiring somebody, but imagine for a moment if you had two HVAC. We're going to talk HVAC for a moment. Two HVAC techs shooting content every day. You have a lady that answers the phone in the front office shooting content every day. You as the owner shooting content every day, and each part of your content is showing in the whole customer journey, showing how you help customers, and you have all of that content going out. Now I know when I give a call, I'm answering. Nancy's answering the phone because she's put videos out on their page, and she talks about what is the process when you give us a call. Joe's coming out to do HVAC for me. He's going to be my tech. I now know who he is because he talks about how he helps other customers. So now I know who to expect when they show up at my house. The owner of the company, I know if that person screws up, I know who's going to be giving me a call now. And then you have all this content talking about how each cogs of the whole wheel is helping their customers and serving their customers. And you know what to expect from each person along the customer journey. I think it's super powerful. So they're missing out on opportunities of showing people the customer journey, who they're going to deal with, how they're going to be served throughout the whole line.
I love it. Something we talked about at the very beginning, I think this is a perfect time to kind of segue into, not really segueing, but getting into it. You talked about attraction and how it's really the key to attracting. And I think it's working on both sides, and we'll kind of get into that, attracting the right customers, but also attracting the right team members. I think it's one of the most, content is one of the most powerful, yet one of the most underutilized in terms of finding better team members. Can we dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that teach that are like business coaches or whatever in consulting that talk about using social media to attract the right employees. Because you can't, if you do it the right way, and this is where the transparency stuff comes in, showing people where you screw up, shows people what kind of culture you have, right? It shows people you can make mistakes and it's okay. As long as you obviously, you don't make done. You're not making. Yeah, you get it. Like you're making. I made a mistake. I screwed up, and it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow. And if you're showing those things on social media, like it's another fantastic example of being okay with showing growth and growing pains and grow, because that's when people go, hey, if I go to that company, I know if I mess up, I'm not going to be fired or I'm not going to be ridiculed. I know that it's a company of growth and that they're going to allow me the opportunity to make mistakes so I can get better and follow my career path. So I think that as far as attracting the right employees, when you have that going on, that will get the right people there. And of course, if everybody's doing video content and you don't mind it, that's also going to attract people that don't mind doing video content either.
Mm-hmm. So let's dive into the attraction on the front end too. So it's really great for attracting the right employees. What types of content are the best for attracting the right leads, things like that? I think it kind of goes into what we were talking about in terms of how long it should start to take. But why? I want to get into this. Like, why is it that the content side is so important for attraction and nothing else? Right? What is it about content that allows you to attract when nothing else allows you to attract? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it goes with, a matter of fact, I was shooting content about this the other day that I'm going to push out. There's a lot to do. Communication, go back to history for a moment. How do we pass on knowledge from people? And it was through stories and storytelling and human connection. You're not going to get a human connection from words on a page. You're always going to get that with some type of human interaction. The best way to do it without meeting somebody in person is video. Like you're going to understand the person because you're going to understand their mannerisms. You're going to understand, their personality, like all of those things that if you were in person having that conversation would attract you to that type of person. So you can't do that with words on a page. You just can't do it. Like you can hide your stuff with words on the page. You can't hide it when you're actually on camera and actually doing those things. So I think it comes down to the way we've always communicated and passed on knowledge and shared stories and connected is by that human connection. And thankfully, because of technology, we can do that without having to be in front of all those people or knock on somebody's door and have a conversation. Like we can warm them up and invite them in, and they can build a relationship with you through video content. So I think that's, as far as attraction goes, it's that human connection that you're never going to get from Google.
I love it. Is there anything we probably should talk about that we haven't been able to talk about yet today?
Probably just overthinking content.
Yeah, that's a big one.
People think that you've got so many people out there, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, so I don't want to say it's not always me, that think you have to have the perfect hook, the perfect edited video, the perfect this, the perfect that. I'm like, nope. The best, I said this today, but one of the best marketing strategies for social media is just showing up all the time and continuously being in front of them, because not all your videos I got videos that suck. I got videos that got like 20 views, which means I didn't connect. That just lets me know that I'm not going to make a video like that again. I've got some that got like 3, 5, 10, 30,000. Those are the videos I'm going to make again, because I know that connected with somebody. So I think that what's not talked the most is just showing up. Even if it sucks, stop worrying about the perfect hook. Stop worrying about what the video looks like. Stop worrying about what you look like. You're going to be the most critical. And I think just continuously showing up in front of your audience is probably the one thing it's not talked about enough. Never has to be perfect. Matter of fact, if it's not perfect, it probably will work better.
I love it. Yeah, that got me thinking. Like, I can't usually tell you which ad it was or which piece of content it was that made me make a decision. It's always the fact that I've seen that thing over and over again that does it. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, that one piece of content made me do it. It was like, I've seen you around, or I've seen your videos. They're never like, oh, that one particular video, right? Is it more quantity than quality, at least getting started?
I think getting started, yes, because you're always going to want quality. Yes, without a doubt. But you have to get reps in, because shooting videos is a skill like anything else. If you want to get really good, where you can just pick up your camera and go, hey, this is Jordan Presto Media. Today in this video, I'm going to show you XYZ. If you want to get really good at that, you have to get reps in. So I think in the beginning, just quantity, just getting reps in of shooting video and practicing your first line. I always say, like, if you're gonna do anything, at least get a hook in, right? Get a good hook. Think about the hook. What am I gonna say first? Like if I'm a contractor, hey, let's see, all right, we're at this customer's house that's having this problem right here. And like whatever it is to immediately grab somebody's attention and tell them what the video is about. I think that is the first thing, but it's just getting enough reps in to get comfortable with being on video where it's not an issue anymore. You don't have a fear of getting on camera. So quantity first, and then the quality comes like anything else. When it comes to video, and I say video needs to be where it's at because if you're going to do anything, at least get on video and show how you help your customers. I think that's the message that anybody needs to see and hear. And organically, matter of fact, prime example, I had a guy that I got on a call with the other day. He was asking my recommendation for something. I think he's running Facebook ads. And he goes, I see your videos. Your videos are great. He's like, I don't watch them all, but I see you show up all the time. But he goes, but there was this one video that you said this one thing. And I was like, holy moly, I never thought about that. And he took that and he goes, so I did that one thing that you told me to do. And it completely changed how my videos views went up and how I had people engaging with it because I did this one thing you told me to do. And that one thing built trust, but it was something that it was a minuscule video that I didn't think about. It was something small like, hey, don't tell people who you are at the beginning of your video. They already know who you are. Just start with the problem. Yeah. Like, so it's something dumb like that I guess most people don't think about because they start videos with, hey, this is so-and-so with this company. We help people do this, and then get into the problem. And I was like, you lost people. They know who you are because they see your Facebook profile. They follow you or whatever. Get right into what it is. And so the guy said, I did that one thing and it completely changed. He goes, I had 20 people share this post. I had X amount of people share this. I got 2 leads from this. Like all I did was change one thing in his videos. And I think that, and he's been trying to rep and do videos forever. They're not all great. So I think showing up and just putting in the reps and being okay with screwing up, I think that's something that people, they fear. And when you start video content, the hard part is you have to publicly fail.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to publicly fail. I'm like, all right, I got to start doing this thing and I'm going to publicly fail because videos are going to suck from the beginning. I guess we hadn't really talked about that fear part. Mm-hmm. The initial fear of going, you know what, I'm doing video content, but I'm going to really suck at it. And so you kind of have to call the elephant out in the room when you start your videos if you're not that comfortable. So I always tell people, I'm like, all right, if you're not comfortable with video, at least get the elephant in the room. Say, hey, we're out helping this customer today with this X problem. Get that out of the way. What is this video about? Follow it up with, hey, look, we're making these videos. I'm not really good at it, but I want to show you how we're helping customers, and be honest about it. And it'll take all the pressure off of you of having to create this perfect video and saying the perfect thing every time. So the initial fear, get what your first line is, get what your hook is, get what it is that's the problem that you're addressing or the symptom you're addressing, and then go right into saying, hey man, we're just starting these videos out. They're probably not going to be great, but we want to show people how we serve customers. We think it's important. And we think transparency is important. And just, you'll find that the pressure and the fear of getting off, of getting on camera starts to go away.
Okay. So like calling out in the video, like, hey, we don't do a lot of these, but here we are. Hang in with us.
Yeah. I mean, and it is, it's like going, hey, we're going to suck at this. Like, we're not going to be really good. We may be from Alabama like me, and we talk as country as we all gets out. And it's just addressing the elephant in the room of, hey, these videos are going to suck. But what you're going to find over time is they're going to get better and you're going to get more comfortable. So I think that just addressing your fear head on of, you know what, I'm calling out what's going to not be good. And it just takes the pressure off you for being good, and it'll give you the confidence you need to shoot a great video. So it's a matter of always get the first line out of whatever it is you're addressing in the video. What's the video about? That's always the first line. And then you can go into, hey, look, in this video, we're going to show you how we're going to fix this ceiling fan up here or whatever. Hey, I'm Jordan with this contracting business. I hope that, hey, we're just starting these videos out. We want to show how we serve customers. We want to be very transparent. We're a growing company. So these are probably not going to be very good, but let's check it out. That's it. and it'll take a ton of pressure off you.
To me, it's really, really close to like fitness, right? It's like only the problem is, and you said this, I hadn't thought about it this way, you have to fail in public. It's like in fitness, at least you can look like a dum-dum in private, right? So it's a little easier even. But in terms of like making it happen on a consistent basis, actually our clients did this without us really knowing about it, or suggesting it. They created a mini group amongst themselves, and now whenever they make content, they're posting it in the group, and they're all like encouraging each other and things like that. Do you think that that's kind of important too, of having like being a part of a community who also looks at content as important, and you guys are like seeing, sharing, commenting on each other's stuff, to where I think it feels like, to me, it makes it a little bit easier to fail, things like that, when you have other people who are doing the same thing around you.
Yeah, no. Well, and it's being around like-minded people. And it's funny you mentioned that. I'm in the process I had an old Facebook group, and it's called Video Content for Contractors. And I'm about to resurrect it again, so to speak. But the purpose of the group is for people to put their video content in so they can get feedback. So let's say maybe they don't want to post it publicly for everybody, but there's a good enough community inside that group where they are comfortable with posting their videos out and just getting some feedback, and then being like, hey, yeah, go out and post it like that, and being that type of community thing. So that's something that's in my business plans to implement in the next probably 3 months. It is to build that community. So that way, yes, it will help my business grow. Yes, it's part of my process and my plan, but it's also just to get, because in order for me to be successful in helping you, I've got to get you on camera first. And if you're not willing to get on camera, I can't do anything to help. So my business won't thrive. I can't solve that problem. So the first initial problem that I have to solve is getting your butt on camera. So the ways I know how to do it are going to be two things. One, I've got a texting service that'll come out. It'll text one question, video topic a day, 7 days a week, where they have content given to them. And that way they know what they can talk about that day. And it's built off the same strategies I do: symptom, problem aware, solution aware content. And then they can take their videos and they can post them inside that group, and they can start getting comfortable getting on video. So then they get to a point where like, all right, I need help managing all this content. Then they can reach out to me now, and I can take care of that, take it off their plate, or help them bring it in house. One or two things. So I think that's, I as a business owner have to solve that problem first. And it's recognizing that the fear of getting on camera is the very first thing. So I've got to give them all the tools, all the encouragement, all the community to make that happen first. So they'll get over the initial hoops. So then we can start creating, editing some videos, getting some really good content out, and getting them comfortable and guiding them on the path to where, honestly, I would like for them. I think social media content should be brought in-house eventually. I don't think it should always be outsourced. So as bad of a business model as that is, I'm guiding them to bring it in-house eventually.
But of course you do some of the training though, right? So like there's probably some, and we'll end with you kind of covering what it is Presto Media can do, and how they can really get it in touch with you. But it seems like one natural part that you guys would do is kind of help them build their in-house team.
Yeah. I mean, you can use a series of, there are enough good VAs that you can use, that you can build it, where you can hire one social media manager to manage it, and you can use your team to help map out the content, and even they can help you map out the content. But for contractors, it's going to be a lot of this. It's going to be a lot of the same. It's going to be, what are the common problems they're running through? What are the symptoms? What are the problems? How do you solve it? And how do you solve it and do it better than your competitors? So what makes you different? So putting out content like that, and then putting out content that shows how each employees help your customer along the way. So they know exactly what's going to happen before they even reach out to your business. So they know what to expect. There's no missing pieces. And I think that's part of what we do, is help start implement that in your business, and then help you create SOPs. So it's just part of your process. So when I come out to a house, I'm going to shoot a video. And that's just part of, and document what I do, so we can post it on social media or not post it on social media, but it documents our process. So we help them implement that in their business. The hardest part, I think, for us is just getting them to execute. Like that's still one of the problems that I've got to do. So that's why I think the community part and the texting part is going to help with that process. So no, we'll help them get all that implemented, help them build out an SOP so it can just be part of their process. And and then get it posted out the right way, right? And then we'll track the engagement. We help track the engagement for them, what's working, what's not, show them the analytics, teach them how the analytics work. So that way they can look at it themselves. And of course, the content's all theirs. We're not one of those people that's like, well, if I'm helping you make this content, we own it. It's all their stuff. Like it's not ours to keep. So, but yeah, we'll help guide them on the right path. So eventually they can go, all right, we got one person that can handle this, or we can hire an overseas VA that can take care of all these things for a lower rate. And then they can just do it in house. And that way, because they're going to always, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, they're going to always know they're going to know the best way to market their own business. Once they know how to do it, they can bring it all in house.
Mm-hmm. I love it. All right. Presto Media, Jordan Harrison, let us know how they can get in touch with you, what they should get in touch with you about, what kind of things you offer. You covered the community, the texting service, which is really cool. You guys do some done for you trainings. Kind of tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So I think here's what I tell people first. We do social media management for contractors. That's the easiest way to explain it. There are some other things that we can do that's not out yet, but it's coming because we want to me, what I'm recognizing is as my business grows is there's got to be a connection to how the leads are handled once they do come in. So we're helping build in processes that will be part of the services down the road. But here's what I tell people first. Don't reach out directly to me. Just follow me on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. Those are 3 platforms that I go heavy on, and get to know who I am and how I operate. If how I do things, and if you get to know and trust me, if you're comfortable with and knowing what I do and how I can help, and it's a fit, then reach out to me. So I always tell people, follow my content first. Don't ever just, unless you have and you love me now and you want to reach out to me. But I want people to see the relationship first, see what I do, and then from there, then they can reach out. I think that's the best way to get a hold of me and see what I do when I'm about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. Jordan, thank you so much for being here. I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.